Welcome back to Dungeon Jedi Masters Crew. Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest free Patreon adventure we posted for the community. As I said, this is one of our Patreon one-shots, but it's free. It's open to everybody, not just our patrons. This is something that we did to celebrate hitting 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you all again for supporting us on that, by the way. But we wanted to have a custom fan-made adventure to run and kind of make available to the community. And shout outs to Cakeman89. He won the competition, and we were able to work with him to develop a pretty fun one-shot, if I have to say so myself. We created Outbreak. Now, spoilers, if you want to play in this one-shot, stop listening. Go download it, but then just stop listening. But if you want to run it, this would be a fun one to do. And we're going to kind of touch on what it is, kind of the little premises of the adventure as a whole, and then some tips and tricks that I just think would be useful for helping to run it. But as I said, the spoilers are coming, so if you want to not hear any spoilers, this is your last chance. But Outbreak is a fun one, and shout outs to Cakeman for kind of letting me run with an idea I wanted to do for a while. The Rackles. Rackles, if you watched my Big Badge of the Star Wars universe, they were one of the honorable mentions in there. They're a very fun species, and Cakeman had a great idea of having the Rackles play a central part of the adventure and have the adventure take place in the right after and during the events of Knights of the Old Republic. So right after the bombardment of Terrace by the Sith Empire, one of the ships, the Gorgon, what do they call those Centurion battle cruisers, went missing. They were part of the bombardment fleet, but they went to hyperspace and they never reconvened with the Sith Empire. And some time later, Republic intelligence finds that ship floating above an orbit above a planet. So Republic intelligence sends the crew in, and they're out there to investigate it. But for those of you who played Knights of the Old Republic, you guys know that Terrace was infected with the Rackles. And with this, the players will learn as they go through it, but some of the Sith soldiers may have brought back that disease when they went back into the ship. Causing a little bit of an outbreak, we'll say. But so that's kind of the premises of the adventure. We designed it for level 4 PCs, because this one, and for the tone of it, it has a bit of a horror-esque type feel. It's hard to do that with 5e, but I hope, I tried to, and I hope it comes through well as you play it. But it's got a little bit of horror-esque, it's got some hard decisions, it's got the Rackwool Plague, which we made pretty, it's a little nasty. There's some ways to cure it in the system, but it's not easy. So it's something to keep in mind. You get your players on that side, it's really a fun one to play. And this is what I'd recommend doing more as a one-shot, or if you're okay in a more deadly campaign. Because this one, there's a probability of losing at least one PC, especially to be a level 4. The way we've set the Rackles up, it's going to be a tiring adventuring day. You've got to deal with the plague. You've got Rackles all over the place. It's challenging. So I recommend using it as a one shot. I'm actually hoping to play it sometime soon, or run it sometime soon with one of my crews, but not in the next couple months probably. So that's my biggest advice. Probably as a one-shot, highly lethality campaign. My other huge piece of advice before even starting, don't tell your players what they're going to encounter. Give them that premises that I gave you there. Maybe even, it depends on how, actually, if you trust your players not to metagame, keep the Terrace piece in there. If you've got some metagamers who may know a little bit too much Star Wars lore, up to you. Maybe leave that Terrace piece off. I know my crew is usually pretty good about not metagaming, so I wouldn't mention the Rackles, but I wouldn't mind mentioning Terrace, because you want this to be a bit of a surprise. It's always it's nice with the alien and the horror movie. Think of Alien. The crew had no idea what they're going to encounter when that came up, and that's kind of the cool piece of surprise, and that way when they're going through and kind of going through the corridors of the Gorgon, they're seeing some of the wreckage left behind between the battles of the Rackles, and they hear that scratching on the walls and scurrying through the vents. They get a little bit panicked. They're not sure exactly what they're going to see. I think that tension will be good there. So that's one of my pieces of advice. Just keep it a little vague. Missing Imperial Star Destroyer, they want you to go, find it, and capture the crew. That seems like a regular one shot. Don't mention Outbreak. Don't mention Rackles. Have it be a little bit of a surprise. So those are two of my big before you get running pieces of advice. Other than that, with this adventure, there's about 5 different chapters within it. You kind of arrive on the Gorgon. There's some good times for so this isn't just like all combat or kind of all running too. With this, it's kind of a good one for investigation too, because like all good horror movies, you got to see some of the carnage and kind of try to figure out what the hell's going on. So that's where it starts off at. They go aboard the Gorgon. They see that the hangar bay has been decimated. Like it looks like somebody had set off a bomb in there. All the ships destroyed, and as you kind of fly up to the Gorgon, too, all the escape pods are launched. It looks like somebody's clearly tried to get rid of all means of escaping the ship, and does a good job of it. And you get to kind of explore that and kind of figure out what's going on. There's a bit of a mystery there, which I won't kind of waste time going into. And you get to kind of just figure out and kind of start piecing together slowly what's taking place, finding some claw marks at different places. And I thought that was a fun way to do it. So I hope you all enjoy that piece too. But after that, you get to go through and explore the ship, and as you're exploring the ship, you see some bodies and things like that, and eventually the crew, and this would be a fun one too, DMs don't hold back. There's a couple different checks in there, depending on how, not stealthy, but how much noise the crew made landing the plane, opening that big hangar door that was very securely barricaded. And it gives the opportunity, too, for you maybe to ambush the party. So depending on how loud they were and how much notice the Raccoons have, they may have advantage or disadvantage, or advantage or regular on their stealth check. So if you get that stealth check, get that surprise on your players. I wanted this to feel a little horror-esque, so make it get in there and play it like a horror villain. And it's one of those ones that comes in 2 waves too. So if you're able to, even if you're not able to get the stealth off, the Rackles will be coming from a vent down behind the players, and there's vents all over. So that's kind of clear. And take out the scene descriptions and make sure to flavor or read them however you like to. I hate reading things or not reading things exactly as they're written. Put your own like spin on it, but make sure to mention that the ventilations are on there, just so that people don't be like, oh, I didn't know there was a vent shaft. But yeah, they're dotted all over the ship. So make sure to put that in there. But then the Rackles come down from behind, and then there's another crew that comes scurrying around the corner from the front in 2 different waves, giving us a little bit of a challenging encounter. And the nice thing, the Rackles too, they are challenge rating 1, 200 XP. So they are pretty, for level 4 crew, like a couple of them aren't that bad. But the nice thing is with things like this, individually they don't need to be tough, but if you put them in a swarm, you can have some fun with them. So I had some fun with them. So check that out. Check out the Rackwolf Plague. We did a little bit different for this. So I know, I think Vesh has a Rackwolf Plague that he's got for in one of his holodexes. I kind of did my own thing with this one, because especially with it being a one-shot, a lot of the Rackwolf Plagues usually take like hours and hours and hours, and you want the plague to have its own teeth in this. So I kind of did my own thing with it. So check that out. It starts off pretty with some good teeth in there with the poison conditioning, and it just goes up and up and up from there. The nice thing too with this, you get to have those checks again. So if they get the Rackwolf Plague, they can feel that plague coursing through their veins. They feel it just burning as they've been touched by this dark taint. At that point, DMs, it's in your hand. I made this so with it being a one-shot, time being of the essence, you can call for the additional checks, because each check too, so once they catch it, there's 3 or 4 levels that they can go in, or 4 levels total, but 4th is your Rackle. So 3 levels that really gotta matter, I guess. But each time you can call for this, they'll need to make a Constitution saving throw, repeating that same DC 13, and if they fail again, they progress along the ladder. And if they get to that 4th level progression, they just turn into a full level Rackle. So this is on you, DMs. You get to choose when and kind of pick some cool moments. Third level too for this. If they get to that 3rd level, they have to make wisdom saving throws the start of their turn and at your discretion for if they are able to recognize friend from foe, as that plague is kind of just deteriorated their mind and sent them into an ammo-like frenzy. So go for it, have some fun. This is probably one of the ones I've had the most fun with developing in a little while. So I truly hope the community enjoys it. And yeah, sound off too in the comments what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, and just how it goes with your crew. And if anybody streams it, let me know. I'd love to see this one played out. But you get to kind of go along with this adventure as you're going to go through. They go through the corridors more. They actually, so this is another fun piece I had fun with too. So there's still some Sith aboard the ship. No, and I should say Sith soldiers. There's no true Sith, but they're like Imperial soldiers, we'll say actually. So there's still a few of them aboard the ship. And when they get to a certain room, there's a security room, and there's a way to communicate with the bridge. They get to learn more about the disease, what took place, and they actually get to find a med bay, or they get told about a med bay where the person was close to finding a cure, as well as a little bit more information too and about that plague, and the Sith will request right off the ship and help to destroy the ship. So Imperials, and they gotta get just far as some good choices. Are they gonna help the Sith escape? Are they gonna destroy? Or probably, hopefully, they'll destroy the ship, knowing that what the Rackles are after seeing them in action. It gives us some fun on that side. It also gives us a fun little point later. But then party, if they'd like to, they can go progress towards the med bay, which is an additional fight where they'd have to clear out that med bay and see if they can synthesize the version of the cure that the scientist was working on, which would give them, I forgot, 4 or 5 cures. So the nice thing too, I wanted it to be scarce a little bit too. So definitely they could bring that cure back with them to the Republic, but you've got like 5 doses, and it's not a vaccine. So if you get the plague, cure it, get the plague again, that's gonna be another vaccine. And we built this for a party of 5. So yeah, so I did 5 doses. And we built it for a party of 5. So that's gonna be some fun choices with. Are they going to be able to heal? Are you going to be? Do you want to hold off and make sure you don't get the plague again before jamming yourself, subjecting yourself to the plague's effects longer? Who knows? It's up to the players. Let's see how they strategize with it. And also, kind of things along that too, with the Rackle Plague. So it is possible for some of the powers, abilities, and resources that are available, or sorry, not resources, powers and abilities that are able to cure disease. There's a potential they can do so. I think I set it at a DC 20, maybe 25. It's very difficult for them to do so because this Rackle Plague, it's more of, I know plague and disease are synonyms, but if you go into the Rackle backstory a little bit, it's a little bit more of a force-based biological weapon. And I wanted it to be a little bit more difficult to cure than just buying some anti-disease kit or even just doing a lay on hands as a guardian. So resources and items won't be able to cure it, but class abilities, powers, etc., they do have a chance, but they've got a high DC. So cool on that side. And then they've got the med bay with an opportunity to find a cure too with those 5 doses. So good there too. Get some resource management, get a little bit of tension, a little bit of drama. You should have some fun with that. And then finally, you get to go destroy the reactor. There's a pretty fun rat ghoul big monster I made. I didn't want everything just to be regular rat ghouls. So I had I think what I call him, rat ghoul Goliath. And he's fun. Your players will like him. They'll hate him, but you'll like him. So have some fun with that. So that's. And then you get to kind of set the reactor to blow, and you get to try to race out. And the next part too, so I love skill adventures. So basically, the next part will be a skill adventure with some teeth on it too. What did I do? 5 successes before 3 failures. And basically, after they set the reactor to blow, the alarms around the ship are blaring, red lights flaring. But even above the alarms, they start to hear the scratching and the pounding of creatures running towards them. They need to escape. So, skill adventure. What are you going to do to escape? What are you going to do to hold off these hordes of Rackles that are just behind you? What can you do? And they have to figure that out. So the players will need to figure that out. But the fun part with this is the 3 fails. Each failure has a little bit of a change to the next scene. So if you get the players and they luck out, they blaze right through it, and they get right home, right back to the hangar with no failures. They arrive at the hangar well before the Sith, or the Imperial troopers, will say, under the Captain Reich, arrive. So they're able to get by their ship, get in front of the ship, and the Imperials put them in a little bit better position. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But now, if they have 1 failure, the Imperials get there first, but just ahead of the party. If they have 2 failures, the Imperials are already in the ship. So they've got their pilot in the ship, trying to slice into the player's ship, and trying to get their way off planet. 3 failures. this is when life gets hard for them. The Imperials are in the ship. The Rackles are right behind them. So they get to the ship. The Rackles show up. And it's like they're caught between a rock and a hard place. So the Imperials are on the ship, get prepared to launch, and the Rackles nipping at their heels. What can they do? So that's I like that, especially with this being, as I said, it's a better one shot than throwing it in your campaign because this can be a little deadly, it can be a little harsh, but for one shot, that's fun to me. But so not only that, so let's go back and so the Imperials arrive there. There's a chance for diplomacy. So if your players try to talk it out, persuade the Imperials, especially if they offer the Imperials a ride on their ship, there's a chance to get out without any bloodshed. But there's going to be a coin flip too. So a coin flip plus one, and that's how many rounds away the Rackles are. So this is going to be a little bit of a tense spot because you've got the Rackles coming, trying to either fight or talk down the Imperials. And as long as you didn't fail all three, you've got some time, but not a lot of time. And just make sure your players know that they got there ahead of them, but they hear that scurrying, they heard that scratching and scratching of the Rackles chasing behind them, so they know time is of the essence. But let's say your players are able to either talk the Imperials down or defeat the Imperials and beat the Rackles and jump on board their ship and launch away from the Gorgon. They've saved it. The Gorgon explodes, or they've saved the day. The Gorgon explodes. The ship is destroyed. The Rackle threat is ended. Or is it? So one of the things, especially it's a horror movie, you've always got to leave a piece for the sequel. I don't know if we will do a sequel. Maybe I enjoyed this one. Maybe we'll do a sequel. And I like Rackles and all that. But the planet there above, as we mentioned before, all escape pods launched on the ship. As you get out of the Gorgon, back into your ship and orbit around the planet, distress signals reach up. And if somebody checks it, they'll realize that the overlay of the distress signals and the escape pods are the same, talking about mysterious monsters that are ravaging the cities and countryside and just spreading faster than the defense forces can handle them. And that's the end. So I hope I said this is one that I had a lot of fun again. Surely shout outs to Cakeman89. I wanted to do Rackles for a while. I almost tried to squeeze it into the Alderanian campaign. But this one, I'm glad that we got to do this, especially with some of the direction Cakeman gave us on this side. So check it out. I'm going to put a link in the description. This is a free one. It's open to everybody. So check it out, share it, let us know what you think. Like, truly, I had a blast working with this, so I hope you all have a blast playing it. Yeah, that's all. On the Outbreak side. Other thing I'll mention, come check me out next Tuesday. What would that be? So Tuesday the 7th for Invasion. So we're back on June 7th with Invasion. The 14th after that, I'm actually going to be a player to campaign on my channel, Tegan J Gaming, as Odishi, one of my longtime players. He plays Dash and Invasion, Ping and Hunted, is going to be taking over the DM seat with our new campaign, Stranded. So, Star Wars, for my Twitch channel, Tegan J Gaming, it's going to be Star Wars Tuesdays. So come check out the Star Wars 5e games, join us, drop us a follow if you haven't already, and get some cool content. But overall, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you all again for your support, getting us over 2,000 YouTube subscriptions. Like, we're still blown away by how much you guys have come through for us. And then, yeah, jump on Outbreak. It's free. It's fun. Let us know what you think. And may the force be with you.